So my suggestion is to every one of you, as far as possible, attend the online sessions without fail. Because if you keep accumulating this recording, it will be a problem in the long run for you. Okay, so you will find it extremely difficult to again watch all these lectures after some time. If you keep watching it regularly online mode, you will complete the job. And whenever you have any kind of doubt, you can go through the notes that I am sending to you, which you need not you again sit through the lecture. You can go through the PDF that lectures notes which I am sharing. Just go through it. That will be more than sufficient. I think wherever you find any kind of difficulty, only that portion you can watch in the video. Watching the video again fully, I don't think it will be quite comfortable for you in the long run. Okay, so don't accumulate this burden in the long run. Whenever possible, you sit to the lecture fully online mode and try to learn from the class directly. Okay, don't postpone it. That's my suggestion. Okay, now let us move ahead. So we are talking about gradient descent algorithm. Okay, so can one of you summarize what we learned in the last class? The gradient descent. Of learning method. Can one of you summarize? Just discuss. Can you discuss now, Guruvaran? What did we learn in the last class?
We saw about the classic perceptron and
Uh,
different types of ways for the different preferences input.
That's good. Yeah, that in fact, different that movie example we took by
Yes,
Nitish
sir.
Kapra's lecture notes. Okay, I refer
Yes,
to
sir.
that. That's really good material it is. Yeah, tell me. Yeah, then
And then we saw about the gradient descent, sir. How it will be
ah,
helpful for
gradient descent.
getting the optimal weight.
Okay, so Varsha, Surjit Kannan, are you following the lecture, Surjit Kannan?
Yes.
Varsha,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
comfortable? You feel lectures, online lectures?
Little tough, sir, but I think I will manage.
Okay. Yeah, go through the notes and go through the lecture videos. Wherever you find any difficulty, you can just post your doubt on the forum. Okay, we can try to discuss in the class notes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Surjit Kannan, are you there? Are you following the lectures? Surjit Kannan,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
how do you feel? Are you in a position to understand, work out problems and all? You feel comfortable online? No?
So no, it's a little bit tough, I think so, sir.
If tough only. Okay, okay.
Yes, sir.
Abhijit has joined. Okay. Abhijit, what did we learn in the last class? Any ideas you have in your mind? Abhijit? Okay, let us proceed. Okay. So in the last class, we learned only this. Okay, we discussed about a problem called gradient descent problem, wherein we are talking about finding out the parameters of a difference equation. Okay, that's where we stopped. This A1, this A2, this B is what we are interested in. We don't know this. So we collected some data. Okay, so the data, how do we collect the data? I hope we can recall data collection. So for different instance of K, what did we collect? We collected Y of K minus 1, Y of K minus 2, and then what? U of K minus 1. Knowing these three, in fact, you are predicting the output Y of K. So it is called this kind of problem, you call it as time series forecasting. It's a big problem in industries. Modeling and time series forecasting, market prediction, and a lot of applications are there. Just type in Google time series forecasting applications. You will come to know the kind of various applications, diversified applications, okay, different domains, marketing, banking, then system identification. I told you, process control. Right now, what we are seeing is system identification. So we've taken a kind of a system and past data and the input, present input, and then the future output is what you are trying to predict. Okay, it's kind of time series forecasting or prediction. That's the kind of problem we are talking about. So we collected data by conducting experiment in the real plant. Now we would like to mathematically model it. That's the problem statement. How do we mathematically model? We know that the system is a second order, okay, with two past inputs, yk minus 1, yk minus 2 in order. Okay, we should have this initial assumption. Without this assumption, it will be difficult. Okay, so we collected data for various instants of time, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this each data set, for example, this can be 3, 2, 1, output can be 4. Okay, this is one pattern. This is what we learned in the last class. So pattern 1, pattern 2. Likewise, we have n patterns. So using this pattern, we are trying to learn what the parameters of the difference equation, A1, A2. Okay, is it clear? This is a kind of problem statement in the last class we discussed. So this is what the problem statement. Now what happened? Now we are training a neural network. The network is having 3 inputs and 1 output. Okay, so the A1, A2, B, they are the weights now. Okay, we would like to find out these weights. We are interested in finding out these weights. A1, A2, we don't know this. So find out the best possible optimal, we call it, optimal weights, okay, W1, W2, W3, so that what happens? You get the best fit. Okay, so you can predict or you can forecast your system behavior perfectly. We are aiming only for that. So we are trying to generate data. Knowing this data, we are trying to find out a mathematical model, and we are trying to write a cost function, and then we are optimizing it. Okay, so for optimization, we need a cost function. The cost function defined to be like this. So what is that cost function? I hope you can recall now. The cost function is E is equal to 1 by 2 for all patterns. P equal to 1 to n ypd minus yp, the whole square. Okay, this is a cost function. In fact, we are talking about. Okay, so once you know this cost function, next step, what do you do? Can you recall that? What we in fact we are trying to do? So we are looking for a new set of weights. So with some initial random weights, we would like to update it to a new weight. So that's given by this expression. Okay, so this is what we are looking for. This is a learning rule. I said the last class I mentioned about this learning. So we'd like to update. So initially, in the code, when you're writing the code, you need to randomly fix the initial weights. When you fix the random weights, what happens? Whether you get error or not, definitely you're going to get a huge error. Primarily because your random weights will not predict. The neural network weights will not give you a good prediction. Will not give you good predictions because you have randomly chosen. We learned that this YP is nothing but a linear combination of weights. Okay, this YP, the neural network output, is going to be sigma pattern varying from 1 to n. Okay, I is equal to 1 to, for example, in this case 3, Wi xi. That's your neural network output. Okay, for our case, what we assumed yesterday, last class, we've taken 3 inputs, x1, that is y of k minus 1, y of k minus 2, and then u of k minus 1. And I simply said we are going to take the linear combination and going to find the output. So naturally, there is no threshold and no functions. Okay, linear combination is what we are working out right now for understanding gradient descent. Then what else? Can you recall? We derived, okay, so we derived this, we taken this error function as a cost function. Then we try to identify and we know that sigma p is equal to 1 to n. There is a desired value of that this value system experimental output. Okay, Wixi. So we also understood that this has to be minimized. So with respect to what? W. So the input is fixed. We cannot change the input. YPD is fixed. from the experiment you might have obtained the data. Only the parameter which can vary is Wi. So we need to minimize this error. That's our goal for all n patterns. Okay. So naturally we are looking for dou E by dou Wi. Dou E by dou Wi. So this, in fact, in the last class, we identified that there are two terms. Okay, first thing is dou E by dou Wi is going to be equal to dou E by dou Yp. Okay, second one is dou Yp by. Okay, these two are the terms we discussed in the last class. Okay, because of that, what we ended up in dou E by dou Yp. Can somebody help me out? What is the value? If I find out the derivative of this, okay, with respect to Yp, what do I get? So I'll be getting the 2 out. Okay, this 2 out, square term, there is 1 by 2 term is there. Then I get Ypd minus Yp. As there is a minus here, I'll be getting minus. Okay, so the sum is sum playing the role there. Okay, sum of this p equal to 1 to n. For every data, in fact, we'll be doing this. So naturally, what do we get? We'll be getting minus sigma p equal to 1 to n Ypd minus Yp. Okay, this is where what do you call dou E by dou Yp. Once you compute this, the first statement. Then what do? You need to compute the dou Yp by dou W. That is, from this case, it is going to be xi. Okay, for one particular xi, Wi you are going to work out. That's going to be xi. Okay, so naturally, what you will be getting is dou E by dou Wi is going to be minus p varying from 1 to n Ypd minus Yp, okay, into xi. For all patterns, you need to work out this. So naturally, your new learning rule will be W new is equal to W old minus some learning times dou E by dou Wi. This is a gradient descent rule. So this will become dou old minus eta pattern varying from 1 to n. Already one minus is here. Okay, therefore this minus and this minus you get plus. So you will be getting Ypd minus Ep is the error into xi. This will be your learning rule. Okay, which is nothing but W old, W new is equal to W old plus learning rate. Okay, p varying from 1 to n. Ypd minus Yp into xi is a gradient, very famous gradient descent learning rule. Okay, so this rule you can easily generate like this. Now look at this case. How the error curve will look like. Okay, that's important. It's a quadratic error function. Okay, if you look at the error function Ypd minus Yp the whole square, it will be more like this. Okay, it will be more like the error function will be plotting like this. Error with respect to what? Weights. We're going to plot it will be like this. Okay. So this is the minimum weight that we are interested in. So you start from any initial weight. Okay. So if you start from any initial weight, we will always move towards this particular. Okay. So now if you look at our training rule, it clearly states what it is really telling you. What is the inference from this training rule? If dou E by dou omega I, if it is going to be, see, let us imagine I am starting from here. What is the slope at these points? Dou E by dou omega I. Dou Wi. What will be the slope here in this region? Anybody? Slope is positive or negative?
Negative.
It is a negative slope. Okay, so if it is negative slope, clearly you are seeing what happens in the training rule. So if this is dou E by dou Wi is going to be negative, this is going to become positive. So naturally, what you are doing is W new is equal to W old, okay, plus this is what you are doing. Some computation of this value you will be computing. How you will be computing this? Using this. Using this you will be computing. Okay, using this you will be computing that particular dou E by dou W. Now the key point here that you remember is you are starting from some initial weight random somewhere here. But what happens at the next iteration? At the next iteration, it's quite obvious for us that next iteration, this is going to get added up with the old weight. Okay, so this point is going to move towards in this direction. So naturally, it's going to come down towards the minimum point. This is the minimum point I'm looking for. Why it is called minimum? Primarily because for that particular weight, the corresponding error is minimum. Because after all, we are looking for the error to be minimum. So naturally, the next iteration, this new weight is going to give you minimum error than the previous iteration. This idea is important. Than the previous iteration. In the same manner, if I'm going to start somewhere around here, initial random weights, here I am starting. What will happen? Can somebody explain it? What do I need to do now? This weight is here. Okay. Now I don't want that weight. I should move in this direction. Which direction? Towards the minimum. In this direction. So naturally, if I'm substituting it here, positive slope in the formula. Which formula? This formula. If I'm going to substitute it positive slope, if I substitute the positive slope, what happens? This dou E by dou W gets subtracted from the old W. So naturally, the new weight is going to become old weight minus dou E by 2. Can you see it clearly now? What's happening? The next iteration, W new will be lesser. Why? Primarily because you are moving in this direction, this opposite direction. Weights are moving in this direction. Okay, you are going to descend in the curve like this. This is a slope curve. So you are going to descend like this. So this is called gradient descent. So for gradient descent, what you need to have is more like this. Number one, data. All patterns. Number two, you need to have a cost function. And then minimize it using the algorithm. What is the algorithm we have used? Gradient descent. What is that formula? W is equal to W old plus that formula. Okay, this formula. This is the one. So you should have this in mind. So here there are two terms. The first one is the learning parameter. The learning parameter will fix the rate at which you are going to traverse in the gradient. Okay, in the corresponding slope. For example, I want to have a big jump like this. In that case, I will fix the learning rate greater than 1. So normally you fix it between 0 to 1. Okay, greater than 1 normally people won't prefer. Between 0 to 1 because if you go in for a big jump, the learning will be faster, but there is a possibility that you may miss the minimum point. Okay, you may jump ahead. You may jump over that point, and thereby you may miss the minimum point. So learning faster, if you want, then you have to increase the learning rate. But at the same time, you may miss the minimum point. There is a possibility. Okay, so this is a basic idea. Okay, so what in fact we are doing is we have taken up the error function, we have collected the data, different patterns we have, and then we have taken up the gradient descent learning rule, and we have computed what? So ultimately, what is our goal? We need to compute this dou E by dou W. That's all. Once you know this, then always you can update your weights. See, at some particular point when this dou E by dou W becomes 0, what will happen? Your new weights is going to become equal to the old weights. That's all. So then you will not be, no more learning happens, and your learning stops there. Your learning stops there. You understand? So naturally, we are looking for that only. Sometimes getting zero error, getting zero slope will be very difficult. So we will normally stop, we'll fix a number of iterations, maybe 1000 iteration, 2000 iteration like that, and then we'll stop there. If some threshold value we have reached for the error, zero error, getting zero error will be very difficult. So we'll fix some threshold for the error and we will stop the learning there itself. Okay, so what is learning in this case? How do you define learning in this case? Can somebody tell me? What do you mean by learning here? What is learning?
Sir, reaching the optimal point, sir, maybe.
Reaching
Like,
the optimal point. Maybe can you little bit elaborate, man? Abhijit, sir, yeah,
sir. Sir, through repetitive calculation, we obtain the closest possible point that we desire.
Very good, very good. You are very active nowadays. I'm happy. So the key point is, Abhijit, how do we achieve this, Abhijit? Can you explain the steps here a bit? Are you getting the points clearly? What I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Sir, we
the first stage, what we are doing? First stage. This is stage one.
We take a random starting point, and we predict the learning factor, which is rho, and we.
No. We are not predicting this. Okay, you proceed. Yeah. Yeah, this is wrong. This is not right. Yeah, fine. Proceed.
W old is the value where we start. So we take that as W old and we need to determine W new. So we calculate the slope, then make adjustments accordingly.
Very good. But do you understand how we are computing the slope? So this is a cost function. Normally for finding out any optimization problem, we need to fix a cost function. What is our objective? Our objective is what? Can somebody tell me our objective of this learning? Objective is what? We have collected a set of data, YPD. Okay, we have a set of YPD, and neural network is giving some output. Okay, and we would like to minimize these two errors. This error has to be difference. This difference has to be minimized. Okay, this difference has to be noticed. So in that case, we are fixing the cost function like this. Okay, is it clear now? For all the patterns. For every pattern, we have an error. So for all the patterns, we are fixing the error. This error. So ultimately, our goal is to minimize this. Always remember that. For minimizing this cost function, what do we want? We want some variables. Some variables or parameters, here in this case W, which needs to be adjusted. This W has to be adjusted, but you have to do it in a very systematic way. That's what we are looking for. Okay, very systematic way we need to do it. How do we do it? We try to see the curve, error curve. Okay, we try to see the error curve. Okay, and we have seen that it is a quadratic function. We plot a curve between the errors and for different values of weight. For linear functions, it looks like this. If the non-linear, see, this is a linear problem. Okay, why it is linear problem? We are getting W1x1 plus W2x2 plus W3x3. Only linear combination. So when you are finding out for linear problem, you are finding out the error curve for various values of W, you will be getting this kind of quadratic functions, cost functions. It's called quadratic cost. We are squaring it. But for nonlinear case problems, okay, we will be getting lot of curve like this. So there, in fact, identifying the minima point is very challenging. Okay, that's where we are going for genetic algorithm. Okay, neural networks also will be useful. There is something called momentum factors. We learn about it, BP, back propagation learning and all. At that time, we'll understand how using these momentum factors, hyperparameter tuning, we can jump from some local minima to the best possible minima. Okay, how we can jump. Okay, so that we need to know. But the nonlinear function, the cost function will not be like a smooth function like this. Only one minima point. It will not be like this. Okay, so we have to understand that. But this basic idea is this: use a cost function, identify an appropriate algorithm. Here, what the algorithm we have identified, it is the gradient descent. Using this algorithm, we are trying to find out the best possible weights. Okay, optimal weights. That's the story so far. Okay, that's what we have learned so far. Now, this kind of a problem, it comes under a domain called as supervisory learning. Supervisory learning means we have labeled data. Labeled data means what? For the given input x1, x2, x3, what is the corresponding output? So that data set we have in hand. Labeled data. And by giving lot of examples like this, x1, x2, x3, different patterns, pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3, like this, we are trying to point out a kind of a mapping. Okay, a kind of a mapping. It's a neural network mapping. So for mapping, we need the learning parameters, weights and biases. Biases can also be included as a weight. That's what we see. Okay, input. We are looking for input. So these weights can be identified using an optimization routine algorithm. So that's where the gradient descent comes. Okay, so that's it. So there are different optimization. In fact, as I mentioned to you earlier, in the past 15 years, there is a new spurt of kind of interest in this domain. People are talking about deep learning, neural networks again and again. Primarily because the reason is there are a lot of innovations that have happened in the field of this kind of optimization routines, okay, algorithms. These algorithms are very powerful and it will be quite interesting. We will see some algorithms, 4 or 5 algorithms. In fact, I will be referring to Nitish Kapra for that. It's very interesting animations that are there shown. So it will be quite interesting to understand these algorithms in a proper sense. Okay, so that's where we stand. Okay, so now with this idea in mind, now let us proceed. Okay, and let us try to compare it with the perceptron learning approach. That's what we are learning. Perceptron learning. Let us go back there and try to understand the perceptron learning. So, yeah, we'll start from. So this is what in fact perceptron learning in fact. Okay, so it's adapted from Nitish Kapra, IITM professor. Okay. He's given a course on NPTEL as well as Swayam, and he's in fact founder CEO of many companies also, including Paadai. You can visit his website. You get all these excellent video materials, everything you can connect. Nitish Kapra. Doing a great job in the field of deep learning and neural networks and machine learning. Okay, I learned a lot from him. So it's really great. Okay, so now let us proceed. So what is this algorithm? Yeah, perceptron learning network we are talking about. So we have already seen this. Okay, x1, x2, they are the inputs, and w1, w2, wn, they are the weights, and this w0 equal to minus theta. What is this? In fact, this is a bias. So bias we are fixing by keeping the input as 1. Okay, and we are including it in our algorithm like this. I equal to, instead of I equal to 1 to n, we are going to start from I equal to 0. Because this I equal to 0 is accounting for the bias. Okay, this idea is important. Now we also learnt about this. Okay, this idea. So fix a threshold wi xi minus theta. If it is greater than or equal to 0, the value is 1. It is 0, then it is going to be less than 0. All right, everybody with me? So what is the fundamental difference between McLeod-Spitz neuron and the perceptron? In the case of McLeod-Spitz neuron, in fact, we learned about this kind of only thresholding logic, no weight parameters. Okay, but in some books I have seen that in McLeod-Spitz neuron also they have given weights. Maybe we need to refer to, but Professor Nitish Kapra has worked out like this. Okay, so I am taking it, but I have seen it in some books. Maybe you can refer to also. MP neuron has weights. Okay, we will refer to that. So what is the difference between empty neuron and perceptron? Can you see the difference and tell me what is the difference? In the case of perceptron, you are seeing the weights. Okay, that's the difference. Key difference. A learning parameter weights is going to play a role. Okay, so a single perceptron can only be used to implement linearly separable. So it's an important idea. So there is a limitation with respect to perceptron. Initially, they thought that the perceptron can learn anything, but one perceptron, okay, if you're going to have a single layered perceptron, okay, a single perceptron can only be used to implement linearly separable functions. The weights can be learned and the inputs can be real value. Okay, that's another difference. The weights can be learned. In this case, there are no weights. But here we have weights, so this can be learned. Okay. Now let us take some example and see. What's happening? We are trying to learn, train a machine for realizing OR gate. It's a perceptron learning algorithm. So what is the formula? W0 plus I varying from 1 to 2 WAXI should be less than 0 for the first case. For the second case, it should be greater than or equal to 0. Third case, it should be greater than or equal to 0. Fourth case, again, it should be greater than or equal to 0. Are you getting the point clearly? How do we get this formula? Sigma I varying from 1 to 2 Wi Xi should be greater than or equal to W0 is what our basic idea is. Okay. So now what we are doing, we are bringing it everything like this. That's the only difference. Okay, instead of W0 you compare it, we are fixing it to 0. Okay, so that's the idea here. So naturally W0 plus this term. So naturally the next stage, what do? You substitute the inputs W1, X1, X2. So check whether we are getting less than 0. So what from the first case, it's obvious that when the bias is less than 0, I can solve the first case comfortably. Is it clear? Everybody with me? Anybody having difficulty? Gurubaran, Varsha, Abhijit?
No, sir.
Is it clear?
No, sir.
Is it clear?
No,
Yeah.
sir.
This idea is important. So for the first case we are looking at, we don't know the weights W1, W2, but we are trying to get an inequality condition. Okay, the condition is for the first instance of the pattern 1, P1, if you want to be successful in learning this, it is required that W0 should be less than 0. That's the condition. Is it all right? Now proceed. For the second case, pattern P2, what do we want? We want the output to be 1. In that case, this has to be satisfied. For satisfying this, you plug in the values W0, W1 plus 0 plus W2 1. In that case, W2 should be greater than or equal to minus omega. That's the second condition, inequality condition. This second condition. For the third case, W1 should be greater than or equal to W minus omega. This is the third condition, inequality. And for the fourth case, W1 plus W2 should be greater than or equal to minus omega naught. So that is obvious. See, if you look at this, W1 plus W2. If W2 is greater than or equal to minus omega naught, and W1 is also greater than or equal to minus omega naught, then naturally W1 plus W2 will be naturally greater than minus omega. So these three conditions are satisfied, okay, and easily you can plug in some values, and you can see, for example, omega naught equal to minus 1, and for omega 1, 1.1, omega 2, 1.1, I can solve this problem quite comfortably. Okay, note that we can, because I'm not talking about learning omega 1 and all this W1, W2. Simply for intuitive understanding, this slide is given. Okay, we are not talking about learning here. We'll see that in the next few slides. But right now, just to keep it in mind that for omega naught equal to minus 1, one hand picked value. Omega 1 equal to 1.1, omega 2 equal to 1.1. This condition is solved. Is it clear? 1.1 plus 1.1, 2.2. That will be definitely greater than or equal to 1 minus 1. So it is solved. 1.1 is greater than or minus 1. Omega, again 1.1 is greater than or equal to minus 1. It is solved. So now if you draw the line, What do you get for omega naught equal to -1? Okay, omega naught equal to -1. If you plug in here, what do you get? The slope will be sigma wi xi will be greater than or equal to omega naught equal to -1 means greater than or equal to 1. Okay, so naturally the line which is going to solve this equation 1.1 x1 plus 1.1 x2 will be equal to 1. That is this line passing through the intercept. Okay, are you getting the point clearly? This is the equation, line equation. So this is the line we are talking. So naturally this line passes through these 2 points. So naturally there are all these values in this side. They are going to have the value 1. Here it is going to be 0. So this point is going to get 0. That is this equation. That is it. Okay. So now is it clear now? So how we are seeing this problem? Now the same manner. Okay. Now let us try to do this problem in a slightly different way. Instead of choosing only one value, 1.1, 1.1, let us try to think in terms of the errors that we are going to accumulate. Okay, let us fix the threshold is equal to minus omega naught equal to 1 or omega naught equal to -1. Okay, like in the previous case, and try different values of omega 1 and omega 2. See what's happened. Okay, so look at this case, the first line, -1 plus 1.5 x1, this line. Okay, this is this line. For this line, can you count the number of errors? Somebody help me out. What is this line? -1, -1. Is it not? Where it is? So for the first case, 1.5. Okay, this case. Weight W1 is equal to 1.5, W2 equal to 0. That's this line. So this line. For this line, how many errors you are seeing? Definitely for all these values, this side, right side. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All these 3 are right. Only this one is wrong. Only one error is what we are seeing. Error is equal to only 1. Only one error we have. Now, for different value, -1, -1. -1, -1, where it is going? Here it is. Somewhere here. So we get 3 errors here in this case. Okay. So we get 3 errors. I think we are normally, yeah, this is right. 0.5, 0.5. We get 3 errors. Okay. And for -1, -1, we get again 3 errors. Okay, the line is like here, like this. So you get 3 errors. Okay, so 3 errors or 2 errors? That will be 2 errors. One side, this is. Okay. So you can clearly see that by drawing different lines, we can compute the number of classification errors. And we are interested in minimizing these errors. We don't want this kind of classification errors. We want these errors to be. So we need to find out this W1, W2 the proper way. In fact, we have seen already one algorithm, gradient descent. Okay, so finding out. We are interested in those values of W0, omega 1, omega 2, which result in 0. Okay, so if you plot the error surface may look something like this. In fact, we have seen it for continuous case like this. Error with respect to weights. Okay, for Boolean case, something more like this will be getting. Okay, this is a minimum error. Look at this. This is weight 1, weight 2, and we have the error here. For a scalar case, single weight, we get it curves like this. Okay. When you are looking for 2 dimension of weights, one in here like this, another one here, weight 1, weight 2. In terms of the error, if you want to plot, so you'll be getting curve like this. Okay. So it's a kind of, so we are moving from here to here. We would like to reach these points. So the error has to be minimized. Okay, error initially may be high, and we need to come down. Error. So that's the slide. In fact, tells you. So now let us take up a problem and try to understand the perceptron learning rule. Another learning rule, gradient descent type only. This also, but is slightly different. we need to we can easily compute this learning mode. We can understand it also. Let us consider a problem of deciding whether to watch a movie or not. Okay. Suppose we are given n movies and a labeled class associated with each movie, indicating whether the user liked this movie or not. It's a binary decision. So if I feed in all these data, the output can be either 1 or -1 or 0 or 1. Okay, it's only this kind of binary. Okay, suppose we represent each movie with n features. Okay, so I have movie 1, just like the previous case we learned. No? Movie 1, for movie 1, I got all these features. What are the features? Actor, then thriller, director is Nolan, IMDb rating. So for movie 1, it's more like pattern 1. I got all these data, feature 1, and the output, what will be the output? Whether the person likes it or not. 0 label, that's a label. So, but we need to provide this label in order to train this network. Keep this in mind. We need to provide this label in order to train it. So for every movie, I'll be collecting this data from the user. That's why, in fact, when you watch a movie, they will ask normally whether you like it or not. Okay, they'll collect this data comfortably. All these Google, all this Facebook, they do this data collection. Okay, every time when you press something, something will be recorded in the net. Okay, whether you like it or not, everything, they'll be keep posing you a lot of questions and they'll ask you to give answers. Okay, they are doing all this primarily because to train this kind of machine learning algorithms. Once you press the button, like it or not, you are in fact indirectly helping the machine learning algorithm to learn in a much better way. Labeled data are all valued nowadays, primarily because they are like oil. People call it as data is more like oil. Oil gives you money, data also provides you with money. Because by getting more and more data, your ability to predict or forecast is going to improve a lot. You can provide appropriate advertisement to the concerned user. You can do all kinds of this kind of gimmicks. Okay, P1, P2, pattern P3. So you collect all this data. Once you collect the data, now we are going to implement a perceptron learning algorithm like this. Take a careful look at this algorithm. Spend some time, maybe another 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Get a feel of this algorithm first. So what we are doing, we are starting with a pattern of inputs, okay, with label 1, that is P. Okay, and we have another set of pattern with label 0. Label 1 indicates you recommend the movie, you don't like the movie or you don't like. For a particular pattern of data. For a particular pattern of data means here is, for example, movie 1, I may like it. Then I have all these features. Okay, for each feature, actor may be 1, Damon, or thriller, it's not a thriller, 0. It's not directed by Nolan, 0. IMDb rating is very high. Okay, so you can think of the data like that. Okay, so that kind of data is what I have. And the output, final output can be the label, either 0 or 1, based on the data. Then we initialize W randomly. Then what we are doing, see here we are looking for the convergence. How we are doing it? We pick some random input, okay, X, it may be coming from the union of these two data sets, P and N, labeled data set, either 1 or 0. And then if X is the input X, okay, coming from P, labeled data 1, and if my WIXI, if my WIXI is less than 0, then what do? See, for labeled data 1, I want my WIXI should be greater than 0. You agree? Everybody with me? You understand this clearly? For this combination of initial random rates, my WIXI should be greater than 0. But what do I have here? My WIXI should be less than 0 for labeled data 1. Then what I am doing? I am updating the weights. New weight equal to old weight plus the input. This is something interesting. So in the gradient descent, what we learned, new weight is equal to old weight plus learning rate times dou E by dou W. And that we ended up in with error into Xi. Here the error is Boolean. Okay, it may be either 1 or -1. Okay, that's the kind of error you'll be getting. So naturally this can be 1 or minus 1. That's what in fact we are looking at. Okay, we'll see that. But right now just look at this learning rule. W plus X. There is learning rate here in this case. I'm fixing it equal to 1. Therefore, there was no learning rate here. Is 1. And the error is going to be either 1 or minus 1. Therefore, the learning is going to be W plus X or W minus X. Okay, if it is W plus X, we are going to update the weights like this. And if WX is greater than or equal to 0, but it's belonging to label 0, I need to update the weight. Therefore, and the algorithm converges when all the inputs are classified correctly. Can somebody explain this algorithm a bit? Okay, just give it a try. This is an interesting algorithm. First algorithm we are learning, apart from gradient descent, is in fact incorporates gradient descent inside. We'll see that. But tell me, how do you explain this algorithm? Can somebody give it a try? Any one of you in the class? Maybe I'll call Arun Balaji. Arun Balaji, are you following the lecture, this talk? Do you feel comfortable with this algorithm? Arun Balaji? Arun Balaji. Okay, no mic, Arun Balaji. Then Surya, Sri Krishna, are you following that? Surya Prakash, yeah. Surya Prakash, just can you try to tell what is this algorithm talking about? Just tell the steps involved. Yeah, give it a try. Varsha, give it a try. Valliammai, how this works, this algorithm? I think, who is there? Gurubaran, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you just give it a try and explain this algorithm a bit? Just I want to check whether
Yes,
what
we
you
are having,
understand. Yeah. Yeah, please.
now we
Yeah.
are having a label data
Proceed.
for which the P number of inputs has the output as 1.
P patterns. Okay, P patterns have the label 1. Very good. Yes. Then
And the set of n inputs has the label 0.
good.
And we are now giving an input and checking whether it belongs to P or N. If it belongs to P and it is 0, we have to increase the weight.
No, if WIXI, that's a threshold. Na? We normally check for the linear combination. If it is less than that 0 or not, we'll check. Okay. If it is less than 0, what it really signifies, I don't want this. I want it should be greater than 0. So naturally, I'm updating the weight. Okay. For
And
label
increase
data,
the weight to go.
we need to increase the weight based on the inputs.
Yes, sir.
And then other cases, for label data with label 0, we are going to decrease the weight. I don't want this. I want this to be less than 0. Okay. So naturally, I want W minus X. Now look at this case. Let us try to understand how this one really works. Okay. Look at this case. Consider two vectors, W and X. Okay, W includes all these weights, W0, W1, W2 up to Wn. And X is the initial value is 1 primarily because that's account for bias. And then X1, X2 up to Xn. And then we taking the inner product. Okay, W transpose X. Okay, once you do this, what do you get? You get W0, X is equal to 1, therefore W1, X1, W2, X2, like that, up to Wn, Xn. Okay, you can just rewrite the perceptron learning rule as Y is equal to 1 if W transpose X is greater than equal. W transpose means what? This one. Not W1, W2, W. And what is this? 1, X1. If you take the inner product, okay, W transpose X, if it is greater than 0, you get output 1. If it is less than 0, you get 0. That's it. So we are interested in finding the line W transpose X is equal to 0, which divides the input space into two halves. Every point X on this line is a key point. You should not forget. Every one of you in the class try to understand this. W transpose X equal to 0. These are all the points lying on the line which separates two set of data. Okay, these are all the points which lie on, which in fact, what does this really indicates to you? When this line, every point X on this line satisfies the equation, then for those points, W should be perpendicular. That's a key point. Okay, so let us try to understand it clearly. Every point X on this line satisfies the equation W transpose X equal to 0, then that angle is what? Which lies here. So that angle between W and the point X on the line, okay, which lies on this line, what will be the weight value? Weight should be 90 degree. The angle should be 90. Okay, so that's a key takeaway from this today's lecture. Since the vector B, since the vector W, okay, is perpendicular to every point on the line, it is actually perpendicular to the line itself. Okay, so when you are drawing the line hereafter, keep this in mind. Okay, when you are drawing a line, for example, a classifier line like this, every point, okay, every point on that line is perpendicular to the weight vector. Weight vector we are interested in. So the weight vector should be perpendicular to this line. That's a key point. This is perpendicular. This is a weight vector. This is the line we are drawing. So this weight vector should be perpendicular to it. Since the vector W is perpendicular to every point of the line, it is actually perpendicular to the line itself. It's a very important idea. Using the geometric nature of the classifier. Geometric interpretation or nature of the classifier. What we are looking for? A weight which can be perpendicular to the drawn line. So by adjusting, moving the weights, in fact, what we are doing is we are moving the line itself. Okay, we are rotating, we are trying to identify different lines by moving this weight. Okay, different angles. Like this, like this, like this. All kinds of possibly by changing the weights, always we are, because every time when you change the weight, what you are doing? You are changing this slope. For example, for different weight. For one particular weight, it's like this. So when I'm going to switch this slope like this weight vector is going to change. So its weight is going to change. So when I change the weights, this line slope is going to change. Okay, is it clear? That's what the key idea is. So consider some points which lie on the positive half of this half space of this line. So these are all the positive points. 1, 2. Now look at the way. If I'm going to draw my line like this, the weight vector will be perpendicular. So when I choose the weight vector like this, my line will be drawn like this. Because I'm looking for W transpose X equal to 0. Okay, so naturally what happens? P1, P2, P3 is going to be on the right side. These 3 points are on the left side. So I have identified an appropriate weight. So the key point that you have to understand here is what will be the angle between any such vector and W. Tell me the angle P1, P2, P3. What is the corresponding angle with respect to W? These 3 points, these are all 3 vectors. P3 point, P2 point, P1 point. With respect to the W, these 3 angles are definitely less than 90 degree. Okay, then only you will get value 1. Okay, obviously less than. Okay, what about points which lie on the negative half space of this line? It should be W transpose X less than 0. Therefore, naturally, these 3 points they are going to enjoy an angle greater than 90 degree. Okay, cosine angles. Okay, cosine angles greater than 90 degree means which will be much lesser than between 0 to. See here the angle, cosine angle starts here, this angle. Okay, 0 degree. The maximum you get. Then when you move like this, When you reach 90 degree, okay, gradually you're going to get values. So which is less than 90 degree means always you're going to have, you get a angle between any such vector will be less. Okay, but if it is greater than 90 degree, you're going to have much lesser value. Okay, this is a formula. Keeping this picture in mind, let us revisit the algorithm. So when you do that, you will understand clearly how this perceptron learning route really works. Okay, keep thinking about this idea. Okay, we will work out in the next class the perceptron learning algorithm with an example. Okay, that time you clearly understand this idea. But keep thinking this angle is going to play a key role. Okay, geometric classifier idea. Any doubt so far? Time is 5:15, so I'm stopping. But if you have any doubts, please ask me. Shall we see tomorrow? Okay. No doubts? Then I'll stop. Okay, fine. Abhijit.